And we're live.
All
Well,
right, all right, all right. Welcome to another episode of Prime Minds. Episode 27, I think it is. Maybe 28.
yeah.
I don't know. We're going to keep pushing no matter what it is. We're going to keep pushing. Getting close to a year now doing it.
That's right.
Today, I got my boy Dip with me. This is Z Mackin. Our third is not going to be with us today. King Dav has had his work interrupted schedule, so sometimes you got to get out there and make it so you can keep making that money. So we're not going to stop that.
Right, man. Never gonna stop that. Web3 space will always be here. But hey, man, at least I got my guy Z Mackin on, so that's all good.
Oh yeah, we're going to run it. We're going to run it. So
Yeah.
um, today we got well, let's just start out like we normally do, man. Let's start out. How are you feeling today, Dip? What are you bullish on? What are you bearish on? How have
Oh,
things been?
man, crazy times we live in. Not only that, just because, as you know, the NFT space is always evolving and always changing, and that happens to happen too in the world we live in today, right? A lot of stuff happening economically all over the world. Everybody's guessing right now. Honestly, man, I don't see a bull market happening for at least another 12 months. Um, but right now is the time to build. Right now is the time to be in early and be patient and wait for those teams to build. So I'm bullish on the teams building right now. I'm bullish on the teams that are doing the right things right now in the Web3 industry. Bearish. I'm kind of bearish on the economic side of the whole world, but bearish is not always a bad thing. I feel that during bearish times is where generational wealth can be made. So yeah, man.
Nice generational wealth that's always something that people want to talk about. But let's remind everybody that we are not financial advice. Everything you hear us say is just our own opinion.
Yep.
But you know, we're out here trying to make some money too, or just not lose money at the very least. Um, Me on the other hand, I'm a little bit dejected at the moment, but that's because I just came back from a 10-day vacation. So I went from like almost 80 degrees down to just above 30. So 50-degree swing in a matter of 9 hours makes one quite sad, but it's always good to be home.
Yeah.
So you know, just been out there enjoying myself. Took a break kind of from a little bit of everything, but still went and snuck on and did my lurking now and then. So I was in the CA Discord. I was in some other Discords. Just doing my little DJing thing and living life, man. It's been good to get away for a little bit, but it's always nice to come back home, right?
Oh yeah.
So.
Definitely, man. Always
Uh,
nice to reach home and come back. Always nice to get away for a while too. But now that you're back to your DJing ways, right?
always, man. I'm always on the hunt for something. Always on the hunt for something, dude. So I
Oh
always try
yeah.
to stay up to date with what's most recent and what's next too, right?
Yeah.
Because that's where a lot of people go to try and make money. One, but that's also where you get new ideas from, man.
Yeah.
And those new ideas, even if it's someone that tells it to you, or if it's you taking multiple different ideas that you've learned from all these different aspects and piecing them together to make one great new idea. Um, that's how innovation happens, and
Right.
so I'm not saying I'm out here trying to be an innovator, but like I like to know what's going on.
Yeah.
So
And a little bit, around what's going around the world today. Let's talk a little bit about the crypto market, man. And actually, I'm about to pull up for us right now, Coin Market Cap, and we can kind of see where it's going. So let's take a look at ETH, man. It lets me
yeah,
click.
how what you want to look at?
So let's look at the 1 month and see where we're at over here. Right now, we did take a little dip right earlier in February, and it looks like we came back nicely. And now we're just kind of testing this support area right here. Um, right
Right
now,
around 16.
yeah, right around 1500. The big break is at about 1575. If we break that, we can head towards down to high 14s again, and if we look out even more, looks healthy, man. It just looks like we're consolidating from this point. You look at a year end, yeah, we're really consolidating. We've tested a couple points, right? Like, it looks like up here, the 1,000 was a support range back then, and it looks like it's retested nicely at 1,100, and it's kept 1,100. And right now, we're just retesting these support levels. So, this is always based on news, and this is not financial advice at all. But we look like we're consolidating. I'm short with the heavy right now. Yeah, and you know what? Pred he's absolutely right, because CPI numbers have come out, right? Or like of what the numbers are coming in so far for the month, and they're slightly higher than when predicted. So usually when something happens like that, the markets are going to tend to react on that. A lot of people are thinking, the Fed raised the rates to 0.25 BPS last time. This time it might be 50, right? Which is not good. And this is all based on jobs, man. People are getting more jobs, and that's not great for the economy, right? Because then they have to print more money circulating.
Yeah, explain to me for just a quick second how people having more jobs is going to be bad for the economy, because that sounds counterintuitive. When you think about it on the like just hearing it, more people having more jobs is bad for the economy. Can you explain that for some people?
Yeah, man. Just because more money is circulating, right? And there's printing more money, which is devaluing our dollar, and that's what brings inflation rates to levels, right?
Yep.
So like our inflation is super high because we printed a shitload of money in 2020, right? We just gave away a lot of money, and sooner or later when you do that, it does devalue your currency, and thus inflation going up. So in order to battle that, you have to pretty much kind of put yourself in a recession. Jobs, people have to get laid off. Housing prices are going to dip, right? Because inflation is high. So when people stop buying stuff, when they stop doing, when they don't have jobs and money's not circulating, that's how inflation gets down. But
the easiest way, the layman way, or the easy way for anybody who's listening to this podcast right now to understand that is think of gas when you do transactions, because everybody who's probably listening to us has performed, I'm guessing, at least one transaction on a blockchain, right? So when you pay gas, if there's nobody trying to transact, which means there's very little money in circulation,
right,
then you have very low gas fees, which means low interest rates. Things are cheap. But when you have everybody trying to mint a hype mint, and you got people doing stuff like what happened with the other side deeds, and you got people losing $4,000 or in gas, or thousands of dollars in gas money because they were too slow and got priced out of the market, that is the perfect example of what we just did by printing multiple trillions of dollars and pumping that into the system.
Yep.
Those are exactly comparable. So that's why we're getting rising costs of everything, because there are more people willing to pay more for the same products that less people were trying to buy before. It's pure capitalism at its perfect example.
Yeah, definitely. So when that, the price has to reduce. So I mean, we have a long thing ahead of us. They said they would like to get to 2% by first quarter of next year, but I don't think we're gonna be at that. I think we're at 6.5, 6.7. Yeah. Yeah, and he's absolutely right, Pred. He's saying CPI beat, PPI beat. This means short, medium-term inflation is still a problem for the Fed. This raises interest rate expectations exactly. They want to try to get it down to 2%. That's the goal. It's going to take a very long time to do that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to take quite a while, months and months. Like they play the long.
Yeah, so
they play long game.
If you're going to invest in something, this is not financial advice. This is just what I do, right? Like, this is how I would approach something. Not saying I'm not an expert at all, but when I look into
Neither of us are experts. Let's make that
yeah,
extremely clear. Neither of us are experts in this. We're just calling how we see it, guys.
right. And when I see, I look for discounts. I look for small dips, and when I buy something, I'm just gonna hold it, man. I really believe in crypto. I really believe in Web3. I'm going to be buying more champions. I'm going to be buying more elementals with the idea of just holding. And that would
I'm
go for coins too, right?
There's definitely going to be some coins that you want to invest in. Definitely coins you want to hold because we're if we don't run into a very bad bear market, then we are going to be probably somewhere close to I want to say close to what could be a bottom,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean if you downcast average and do smart investing maneuvers or invest however you're comfortable with, like there's always the opportunity to get in. But I think right now, Web3 gaming, we're still very early. So any
Yeah.
chance to get in is a great opportunity to get in, whether it's Champions Ascension, whether it's not Axie Infinity. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like something that you believe in, do it. Like get out there and find something that you love. Right?
Right.
We obviously love Champions Ascension because we've been out here doing this for 40 something weeks, almost 50 weeks now
Yeah.
that we've been out here putting podcasts together. It's been over a year since Mint. So I mean like this is something that we enjoy doing. That would be my one piece of advice to everybody out here who's listening. Like, no matter what, find something you like.
Mm-hmm.
If you can make money doing it too, all the more better, man.
Yeah, definitely, man. And like with that in mind, everything I look at, like for myself, is basically like it has to have some type of concept of utility, right? And that's with anything. We've seen a lot of PFP projects take a dump. Why? Because there's no utility to them. What is it? A community, right? A lot of people aren't investing into the Web3. I feel for the community. They're investing into the NFT for the utility of it, right?
Oh man, you're really lucky I didn't bring our guest speaker up yet. I was just about to do that. If he would have heard you
Oh,
say that, I
yep.
bet you he would have left right away.
Oh man, yeah, yeah. Oh,
uh,
yeah. No, but they
uh,
have utility, right? Legions and
yes,
Legends,
correct.
amazing. Even
Oh yeah,
the Forever Play Pass is a
yep,
utility. Is he here,
yep.
by the way?
Yeah, I'm gonna bring him up
Oh,
right now. Let's do that
okay.
really
Let's
quick, and then
do
we'll
that,
continue our
man.
conversation.
Yep.
All right, Payton, can you hear us, man? Let's. Oh man, this game. Let's see.
Okay. Can you hear us,
With us,
Peyton?
we have Payton from
Yep.
Wolfsdow.
Azra Games, guys.
Yep.
Wolfstyle,
Yeah.
Azra Games. Let's, I'd say let's give them a big round of applause, but we
Let's
can't any of
go.
us hear you. There you go, Dip.
What's
How's it
going
going,
on?
Here
Peyton?
now. Here now. Good, good, good. How are you guys?
Oh, we're doing great, man. We were just talking about a little bit of market stuff and NFTs and utilities and all that kind of stuff. So
Awesome.
we figured
Love it.
it was a great opportunity to bring you on up, man, and introduce you to the world because we were talking about communities and seeing as you are, I mean, one of your titles is community manager for Azra Games. It was
Correct.
great time to bring you up, man. So,
Yeah, man. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
of course, dude. Why don't we do you want to kick it off, Dip, and get started in the interview? Or do you want to talk a little bit more about market stuff?
Um, Peyton, if you would like to, because I mean, you're actually in the industry too, right? So, I would love to get your concept of like, when it comes to investing into an NFT, a lot of people aren't looking into like just buying a picture, but they're looking for the utility of it.
Mm-hmm.
And what are your thoughts on that? Like, as far as like, we've seen so many PFP projects go under because, a lot of them rely on, mint sales or mint sellouts. A lot of them don't got backing like yourselves. You guys got amazing
Mm-hmm.
backing, right? So could you just tell us a little bit of your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think so for me, I think we're gonna see a lot of different NFT projects come out. Like in the last like bull market, NFTs like really kind of came forth as like a actual consumer good, and a lot of them minted projects out and had like a lot of surplus of money, but then like didn't know what to do with it, so they burned it. They're really fast too, I should add. I was talking to Nico from Bitcraft, and that even happened with some of like the funding with just VCs as well. Uh, pretty young business people that don't really know what to do with that like surplus of money that's coming in, and then like they just kind of they burned money as if they could raise money or do another mint in like the next few months, but those next few months ended up being a bear market. And so I think when it comes to that, I think there's still like a lot of possibilities. Like you see some of these brands that like obviously like Bored Apes were a huge success, but some of them too just like had a really good understanding of like business sense, and like use the minted funds to be able to just do more cool stuff for their communities, and like provide a lot more utility that like probably isn't really shared by like, a lot of them. So a lot of them needed to have the vision, and they didn't. They just had a surplus of cash, and they're just like, okay, well, what should we do? And they couldn't really innovate. They were just really being first movers, and so I think there is going to be a lot of projects though that are going to have like NFTs and PFPs or anything like that that are going to be more utility based, or even like have a very good strong brand to get a pass. Like I think Azuki's is one of them that just like has a really good strong brand that like people just want to rep, and they also have like a very strong like gamer vibe type of thing too. So I think of like all of like these NFTs and these projects as like country clubs, right? So like you buy in your way to the country club, and there's a certain culture. Even like Azra has a different culture from Wolvesdow and Neo Tokyo and all these other like gaming ones too, right? They might be more investor focused, they might be more gamer focused, and so yeah, I think there's a lot of routes that we can take. But I'm really here just to sit on the sidelines and also see what other people are innovating with.
Right,
That's
right.
some of the funnest parts. That's some of the funnest parts, man. Is I mean, because we can't all have the greatest ideas. We can't all be the innovators, right? I was actually just talking about that earlier. Like, I'm not an innovator, but I am happy to sit back and watch all these amazing ideas that these people are having with the simple concept of what an NFT could be. So
Right.
it's gonna be a fun ride, man. Like, I was a little bit young in the '90s for the .com bubble, but I'm guessing, there's gonna be this. We're in a similar situation because we've seen major flops, you know, and we've seen people that have come out and actually done good things for their communities, like Payton was just talking about, and that are going to be winners in the long run. And you
Yeah.
know, we've got the
And I,
Apples and the eBays and all that stuff in the making right now.
yeah, and I think there is going to be more room for people in the next few years too, just as it goes more mainstream. The total addressable market increasing year over year. Maybe not this past year, but I do think that as user interface increases and gets better, Coinbase and a lot of these things just make it easier for people to just purchase and have one. Digital collectibles like Reddit and all that stuff just made it super easy. Starbucks is going to make it super easy. So there is a lot of things that are going to, I guess, infiltrate the mainstream media, and you'll have more people interested and go down the rabbit hole like we all are. We're at the edge. We're at the very, very edge.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, yep. That's where all the biggest waves are always at, right, man?
Oh, I know. Sometimes we
Always at
wipe
the
out
edge.
a lot more though.
You got to wipe out a lot to learn how not to wipe out, though, right?
That's a good
Like
good word.
you
Man.
don't jump on a bike for your first time and take off and wreck for like horribly on your very first time. No, you get on
Yeah.
the bike and you pretty much fall right the fuck over.
Yeah, I totaled my bike early in my Web3 journey, man. So
Oh, wait, I need to hear this. Okay, what was it? Oh, first question, like first NFT. That would be I would love to do that one.
oh my
Oh,
gosh. Well, my first rug was a node project called Strong Nodes. And it was a DeFi project, right? It was when I first got into the Web3 industry. Didn't really know much, but I had money, so I invested 15K.
Oh man.
Thinking these nodes were just gonna give me passive income and change my life,
Yeah.
man, and I got wiped out.
So sorry, man.
It's all
My
good.
my my first NFT was, and this is just how much we've grown, right? Is like mine was bored mummy waking up. And it was so funny because like it's literally like I made my checklist of like what not to do based on like all the stuff that I did at that project. Like the project founders were anon. It was a derivative of a derivative, and it was just terrible. Like there was like no utility. Roadmap was literally like two things. You know, typical like, hey, we're gonna make sandbox avatars. And I was like, oh, this is so cool, man. This is like such great utility. Like community is like, the way. So yeah, it was bad. I don't even know where they're at now, but I took the L on that.
You dropped out of that server? No way, dude.
No.
Yeah, no, right?
Yeah, my first one, my very first NFT that I bought was a esports project called ESTN, and they are either really, 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 really slow at developing it, or it's rugged. I'm guessing probably the second.
Right.
And then other than that, like I didn't even get that NFT, like actually have it for like 6 months after I bought it, right? I finally got it, but the first NFT I actually ever bought was Champions Ascension. So
Oh, that's awesome. That's a good win.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
a good win.
That's a very good
Yes.
one for him. Yeah. I also had the Ute Yacht Club, and
Yep.
that was a big rug, man. So yeah,
Don't you
Oh,
talk bad
man.
about my Zoots! Don't you talk bad about my Zoots! I'm actually still in that project, and they're trying to turn around. But yeah, the founders rugged hard on the yacht club.
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah, it's so funny though, like how crazy, like how powerful the community is though, because it would be a really cool topic for somebody to like cover and like research is like how much like the community is like taking over that community, after like a rug has happened. And like that's just like how strong the community is in the Web3. And so yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, there are communities that try. I've been full of in so many rugs where it's like after that happens, the community's just it dies. Almost every time the community's dead. Sometimes you do have communities where they try and step up and take over the project, but it's hard,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
you have to figure out a way to unrug yourself, which sucks because unless you pretty much destroy that smart contract and recreate the community and a new contract, like you're still going to be giving those original ruggers money every single time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
So
for sure.
it's crazy, but if that is the one thing that can thrive even through a rug is a community. So
Yeah.
Yeah, big time. And speaking of community, man. So like, I would love to talk a little bit about you, man. Like, what's your gaming background? How did you enter the Web3 industry?
Yeah, I have like no gaming background whatsoever. So 6 years of like my career has been like driving ships for the Navy. So I was a naval officer. For the first 4 years, I got to drive ships,
I was
and
in the
then
Navy
the
too.
last
Thank you for your service, man.
nice.
Yeah.
Oh, you too, man. It was a good time, man. I had a lot of fun. And so the first 4 years, I just drove ships, and then like I think it was my third year in, I ended up kind of figuring out that like this wasn't for me. I was going through the Straits of Hormuz, no, Straits of Malacca, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is like super crazy, and I've already been away from my wife for 280 days out of the year, and so I was just like, and I remember going to a very like hard situation, which is like going through the Straits of Malacca, then the Straits of Singapore. And like, the ships were like super close, and you're just like always scared that somebody's going to hit you. And you have like pretty much like, you only have as much control as you can up on the deck. And so it's just like, it was really scary for me. And then also just like, was like, kind of like at that moment I went down and like ate my dinner and was like, I think this is it for me. And so from there, I like really started to focus on like stocks and like trying to find a hard skill that I could like try to specialize in, because I was just trying to know that it takes a lot of time to like get a craft done. So I had like 3 more years on my contract, and so I ended up going to videography and then also like learning stocks. And so I was very fortunate enough to meet a man named Chris Haroon, and he mentored me. He was a previous Goldman Sachs, also like has run his own VC, and was just like teaching me like how to read S1 reports, Q1 reports. For like these different types of companies. COVID hit, and then I started to double down on like the gaming industry, in terms of stocks. So I like, bought leap options and stuff for Nvidia, for like Activision Blizzard, and just like it made sense to me. Did some analysis on it, and I was like, okay. And then through that, though, my brother was studying like Bitcoin, and we started a business together called Binge Learn. It only like lasted for 6 months, but the funny story is that like Binge Learn was aggregating free educational resources around the internet, like putting it in one place. So like there's so many YouTube, so many podcasts and all that stuff. But like there's like Skillshare, and like a lot of people whenever they sell courses is like, hey, you could find all this stuff on the internet, but like this is all in just one place, right? So that was something that like I was just trying to disrupt, was like, okay, put all this stuff, put it onto a platform where people like have like this network effects of like gathering information and putting it into like a semi course. That being said, like we were the first ones bootstrapping it with among some of our friends, and my brother was like, hey, because I know too much about Bitcoin, why don't you do Bitcoin course or like a crypto course, and then I'll take the stocks course. Long story short, he's never done the stocks course. I feel like he was just trying to orange pill me. And so I like watched a whole bunch of like videos, right? YouTube videos on Bitcoin, blockchain technology. And it wasn't just like a little bit of them. Like, because we wanted the platform to do well, it was like watching a lot of them to see which one was the best. Mm-hmm. And so I watched like a crap ton of like Bitcoin, blockchain, Ethereum, proof of stake versus, proof of work and all that stuff. And so I was like, okay, this is really cool. This is really awesome. And so I ended up just like, going head deep into all this stuff. Like we kind of put that onto the side. And then a person that I was doing timestamps for, which was like Dave Lee on investing on YouTube. He's a big Tesla bull. I used to do timestamps, used to send it to him, and I got to ask him some questions just because he was thankful. And one of them, he like kind of said like, hey, have you heard of this Axie Infinity thing? And I was like, no, like, I don't know what this is. And he said, like, it might be something for you to look at. So I looked at Axie, but I kind of was like, oh, this doesn't look too fun. So I like bypassed Axie and started going a little bit more deeper into like video games. And that's when I started like my own YouTube channel. And then also I started the Wolves DAO at the same time. So I tried to look at projects through more of an analytical eye versus like what Chris Haroon taught me about like doing S1 reports, Q1 reports. And I started to figure out like, oh, S1 reports are like very similar to white papers. Mm-hmm. So I used to break down the white papers, put it on my YouTube channel. A lot of people were like, I wanted to learn how to do that. And so like we got like in Wolves DAO, and that was kind of like the core group of people. And then from there we just, blossomed. And then 7 months fast forward, Azra saw my YouTube video about them, and then offered me a job and was, off to the races. And so I do community management and like I do still some analyst work as well for them.
That's
so
great, man.
Did you say that you helped start Wolves DAO?
Yeah, I founded it. Yeah.
Nice, man. That's great.
That is not an accomplishment that I knew that you had, man. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, man.
Thank you. Yeah, a lot of people. It's funny. It's some Web3 people that are like people that come from like Web3. They're like, oh, Wolves DAO, that's freaking crazy. It's like, yeah, I started the thing, and like people are just like kind of dumbfounded. And then like people that are like Web2 side of things are like, oh, you work for Azra. That's really cool. So it's really cool to have like both worlds. But it's been really, I've been really thankful for both. Like I think the Wolves have been like picking up some steam lately, but we've been out for like a year and a half. So it's funny for me. It was like, I've always kind of like believed in the Wolves, but like a lot of people are starting to like notice it. And so, yeah, man, I'm super thankful.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I heard about Wolves DAO first, and we're in Champions Ascension because you guys had a couple members that were in Champions Ascension.
We do, for sure.
So
definitely, man, and even me, I work for Next Games, which are investors in various different Web3 projects. We've looked at over 3,000 projects within the industry, right? And so I get like. Now, from experiencing that, you could see like, oh, okay, it's very beneficial for them to have an experienced team, to have funding, right? To have a proof of concept of what they're building, to be able to scale when it needs to be scaled. So, could you tell us like some of the stuff? Like, I know you were saying you've put that information out, which I think it's great for new Web3 users. But could you tell us some of the stuff you would look at as an analyst at a project?
Yeah. What actually even like what made me get the job at Azra was me just breaking down things, and then also like risk factor, right? So I won't touch on Azra because I'm obviously biased, but there's things that I look at in like other projects too that I'm currently looking at it for competitor analysis or just in general, just interested at investing in the project from a retailer's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very different, right? Like from like a retailer's perspective versus a venture capital perspective, because retail, you're really betting on like it rising in price based on the proxy of the game, right? Is it going to be good? Like Champions Ascension, you now have a proof of concept that it is going to be a fun game because you've actually put on sticks, so it's a lot easier in terms of that. But like in like whenever you're just getting the white paper, or like if there's a Discord that just spins up, like the very first thing that I look at is the team, right? Is the team like awesome? Is the team able to execute on what they're promising? And that's what I go through first. And they have to have some type of, like, for me, they have to be doxed. That's just kind of a non-starter for me. Like, I've missed on some projects and stuff because they're in on, but I don't mind that. It's just mostly to keep me. And I also want to prefix all of this is like, it's based on like your risk tolerance as well. Like I have kids and I have like a family to take care of. So I'm not going to be like trying to swing for the fences every single time. And I also take profits a lot sooner than probably people would, you know, being like a single person. If I was being single, to be honest, with my strategy of investment would be completely different, because I have, you know, just one person to take care of. So I just want to prefix all of the stuff that I'm saying with that. So like, yeah, the team members is definitely the most important. And then whenever I'm looking at the team members, though, it's also like where they're actually having their ability. So for Azra, for example, or like even like Wildcard, like Wild Paul, or like, you know, you have Marco Taro and like even Gabe, right? So like you have those people that have like led things in the past and scaled things in the past. So that's like something that like is a really big indicator for me that I'm just like, okay, these people actually have gone from 0 to 1. Because what a lot of people don't understand when like we're doing all of these games is that because all of these are Web3, they're all startups, which is kind of crazy to think about. And investing in startups is more like VC. So if you ever read the book 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel, I'd highly recommended it, just for the fact that it's a very type of different mindset of like 0 to 1 versus like if they worked at EA before or after like kind of like the rise of EA, right? Or the rise of Zynga or all that stuff. Because now you're more of in a management role to like produce revenue and to push people to like hit on deliverables versus like I need to scale this. I need to get it into as much people as possible, for like a possible sale or a possibly like a huge hit, smashing hit, right? Like Riot. So like for me, that's how I'm looking at it. It's like, okay, can this CEO and like the founding team have they scaled from 0 to 1 before? And like, you know, you have Gabe, Wild, Paul, Marco Taro, they all have. And so that was something for me. It was like, okay, these guys are the best, right? Now then you start looking at the supporting cast. And I guess I'll just do Azra just because before I worked for Azra, this was like one of the only companies that I was like, okay, I want to learn out of these people because they just have so much talent. So Marco Taro obviously was a really big one, but like Sunny Mayuba, who like actually has like started a company from like 0 to 1 as well. It's called Waiter. And so I was like, okay, this person has like done this before. And then also Travis, who's the CTO, has also started a company before and scaled it for an exit. So I was like, okay, these guys know how to run a business and like knows how to put it in front of eyes and like be super scrappy. If you think of like Azra as like a Twitter or whatever, it's like just very scrappy and very guerrilla marketing and all that stuff. And like, it's not like, I guess like this AAA type of like gleam that like you are EA and Activision. So like you could just throw your name around.
Right.
It has to be very much that way. So the team is like by far like probably 50% of what I look at.
Yeah, that's a great deal, team. And I mean that's how I came onto this project too, was by looking at who was actually the CEO, which I'll bring up right here on desktop display, because I'm actually loaded up your guys' page. Let's see, and we'll look up the team. Marco Taro is very, very interesting guy.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
for sure.
Former GM of EA Capital Games, 0 to 1 director for Star Wars, Galaxy of Heroes, $1 billion plus in revenue, 8 times veteran RPG game builder, 3 times founder, and then EA.
Yeah.
Such an impressive resume.
Yeah,
well, not only that, dude, but like listening to him listen to him talk. Like every time I listen to you guys have an AMA or Twitter Space, or anytime that he comes on and talks, it's like he just has one of those voices that he sounds very commanding and very knowledgeable, and he's almost like he's telling a story every time that you're listening to him talk. And it's weird
He's
because
a D&D dungeon master.
Man,
so, yeah.
The first time I listened to one of your guys, I was like, this sounds almost like completely staged, right? And then someone random just from that was listening came up and asked a question, and the way he answered the same thing, it was like the exact same intonations of his voice and same style. Like I was like, he's a very impressive speaker on top of that.
He is.
And very knowledgeable too.
Yeah. And that's the thing, he's told me this, he's just had the blessing to be able to like be under a lot of great game designers at like BioWare and EA, like, you know, Civ 5, like people like that made Civilization and stuff like that, like he like really shaped his craft. Because like whenever he was at Click Nation, like he was going from game to game trying to figure out like all this stuff. And then whenever like, you know, they were ready to get acquired, the reason why he chose EA, hopefully he's okay with me saying this, because he said it in a public forum too, so he should be. Like EA or in BioWare was very much like, I want to learn like the craft. You know what I mean? And so he always told me that like that was like the major reason why he wanted to learn quality. He wanted to learn production on a higher level, so he could do that. And it's shown so much. He's even said his craft at Click Nation, then after EA, and like what he's putting in together now. He always wants to one up himself. So like in terms of production wise, it's like I'm super pumped for Legions of Legends as well.
I am as well. And just so everybody knows, we always like to disclose when we are holders of projects, and I do have a couple hopeful myself. So
I also do.
That was going to be one of the hardest questions we saved for last. We were going to ask, you know, do you at least own hopeful?
Oh yeah. Well, we have like a blackout period. I'm not able to sell anything, so pretty much like I think I'm on a perpetual blackout period. It's because I know too much, right? So
yes.
I don't plan on selling anytime soon. I don't think I can, anyways. So yeah.
Well, I mean, you could always transfer it to your wife's wallet, who could then sell, exactly. Right?
Yep. No, to be honest, like it's even blacked out for them too.
Oh wow.
There's, I think, like the only ones that I think are not is like friends that like were like minted, right? So yeah.
Wow. Oh wow. Well, I mean that is a good piece of information to know, like for people out there that are looking in it as an investor standpoint, is that you guys are, you know, that would be considered insider trading, and you guys are taking the right steps, and like that they're preventing you from doing anything that's associated with insider trading is very smart on their part. Very smart.
Our legal counsel is freaking phenomenal. Sonny is also super big into that. As well, he's mentioned it multiple times, and also has like, you know, slacked in us to remind us from time to time. And so the last one was like a big blackout that he mentioned about, like, was like, hey, we're getting funding, right? And we also understand, being in Web3, that funding is a big deal, and people trade off of that. So it would have been morally right.
Congrats on that $10 million extra raise.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
Very impressive. And it's just very exciting, right? Because I think altogether, you guys got like $25 million?
25 mil, yeah. Wow. It's shocking to me. You know, I've never even seen $1 million. So to even to see that, but like also like it didn't surprise me when Mark told the studio, because like we have a thing called like vertical slice, which is kind of like for people that are not familiar with game development, it's like a big like workup cycle and like kind of like a demo per se, lack of better words. I'm still trying to figure out the language, but it is like a demo that like showcases like what the team is able to do, and then also just like a major milestone. That's probably a better way of saying, like a major milestone in the game development. And then like that was able to be shown to like our investors, obviously, because we keep them in the loop, and they were just like, okay, how much money do you guys want? No, it's not that easy, to be honest. But Mark and Sonny are freaking amazing at keeping the investors in the loop, and that's also why they want to double down, just because they saw us execute now.
Oh man, if you have people like A16Z and I mean just one other big name that's on there is Franklin Templeton that almost anybody is going to know about, right?
Mm-hmm,
And are willing
mm-hmm.
to put more money into your project. All that is a testament to what you guys have built already and the people that you have doing it. So
No, I appreciate that, gents. Yeah, that means a lot.
I mean, we've talked a lot about Azra, and then we haven't even told our listeners what Azra even is. So,
Yeah.
do you want to talk about that a little bit, maybe, Payton?
Sure, yeah. I'll just do a brief overview. And then if you guys want to, we can talk about more retail stuff later. But for people that don't know, Azra Games is a multi-platform game studio. It's run by Mark Otero, which we kind of alluded to. He's operating. He was a GM for EA, and his company Click Nation then turned into EA Capital Games, which then has been making over 1.6 billion for EA. I think it's still claimed to be the most top like mobile game for EA in existence, and it still makes money for them every day, right? So, and then for us, we're making an action RPG called Legions and Legends, and that's our first IP, and it's amazing. I wish I could tell you guys more, and we just had a meeting on Friday, so I just have to be careful on what I can and can't disclose. But for Legions and
You
Legends,
can drop as much alpha as you want.
Yeah,
Do it!
Well, I think okay. So it's already out of the bag, though. It's an action RPG on mobile and also PC. So
Ooh.
like it's a multi-platform. That's why we call ourselves multi-platform. And our last screenshots show that we have mobile controls. So our last screenshots, gameplay images, we sent out via email for our email list. So for people that are on that, but also the hopeful have been seeing it as well. They're mobile controls, and I think a few weeks ago too, Ken kind of leaked up some alpha to like big screens and small screens, and he showed a picture of an iPad and Legions and Legends start screen. So that's something that's like big for us, and we want to get it. We want to be a AAA game that's going to be able to be played by just not the immediate regions that I have like a lot of like PCs and everything like that, but also in mobile. So super excited about that, and yeah, we're going for more of like a sci-fi fantasy, more darker themed. It's not going to be like super bright like Breath of the Wild or Genshin or anything like that. It's going to be more darker, more gravity. We want you to feel badass, honestly. We want you to fulfill that power fantasy that you come in to play the game and you feel like a legend, right? It's called Legions and Legends, and we want you to make you feel like you're freaking owning this world and exploring this world, and it's yours. It's not anybody else's. And so I'm super pumped for it, man. It definitely hits for me whenever I play, and I'm excited to be part of the team.
So question. Oh, go ahead, Dip.
No, go ahead. I'll let you go first.
I was just gonna say, you just said when you play. Does that mean that you guys have a playable demo for yourselves
100%,
right now?
man. I've played it before. Yeah. For DICE as well. For DICE, it was being playable for people there at DICE, just in a small group setting, just to showcase some of it. I know, man. It's a lot of fun. I will say, like, if you're at GDC, I think this, ZM, is that we have put out a forum for anybody that's a hopeful holder in GDC. We have some surprises for you. That's all I'll say there. And then NFT NYC, we're going to be there too. I don't know if we're going to be showcasing the product, but yeah, I'm super pumped. But also at the end of the Fortune article, which was also published with their funding, Mark kind of shed some light on when he would like the first version of Legions and Legends to come out. I get the first playable, and I'll give it to you guys. It's at the end of the year, so hopefully, this is. I can't promise anything, but like hopefully it will be in your guys' hands, playable, so you guys can really see what the studio can do on a bigger scale.
Now,
are you talking beta or alpha or full game?
No, not full. So like in terms of like global worldwide shipping, which like we've also promised the hopeful that they're going to get their hands on it first. But the global is not going to be probably till 2024. So for this would be a playable version. I'm not too sure in terms of like alpha or beta. that'd be maybe pre-alpha. We'll see. But there's also some talks later about like where we want to do for that first release, and so can't really disclose much other than that. But all in all, Mark's big goal is to get it into the hands at the end of this year.
Oh, nice,
Sweet.
man. And are these going to be NFTs? Like, are people going to be able to buy them for Legion of Legends?
For Legion of Legends, for us, the hopeful are gonna open packs on the day of like global release. For these ones, we don't know just yet. So like there is talks about things, but like at the same time, like we're not partnering ourselves in that, because the one thing that we don't want to do is that everything is like in service of the game. So if like people are winning NFTs and all that stuff for Legions of Legends, and like the art style changes or anything like that in that like next version or whatever, or something's completely broken, like you just don't want that to happen, and they're on chain. So there is talks about things, but maybe you're able to earn something or whatever at the end, but we don't know yet.
Okay. And like, so it is going to be detrimental if you own a hopeful, you're going to get airdropped something?
Yeah, it's a pack. So it's a founders pack, and I should say that if you have a hopeful, this is not just like this game studio plans to be here for a very long time. So it's not just for Legions and Legends. You get a founders pack for Legions and Legends, and then we're wanting to surprise and delight just due to legal ramifications throughout the year, as well as when the game comes out as well. So the founders pack is these specific in-game items that you're going to be able to have and be able to open if you're a hopeful. So it's per hopeful too. It's not per wallet. And then also in the future, it's whitelists and also airdrops and stuff for future game titles.
Nice. And they call it a forever play pass for a reason, right?
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct.
Nice. And also, we had another one like, so the biggest thing in the Web3 industry is regulation. So what are your thoughts on regulation when it comes to staking in Web3? What about in the US? Personal opinion. It doesn't have to be Azra related.
Yeah. I will say for Azra, and then I'll just say for me. For Azra, we have the most amazing legal counsel. For people that didn't know, Ziam, I don't know if you were with us before this, but like we were planning on doing like a staking type of game that wasn't like really mentioned that much. But like our legal counsel from A16Z, as well as the legal counsel that we have currently for Azra, was like, hey, let's not do that. And it was a bummer. We were working on it for some months and stuff to be able to do that, and ended up we decided against it for legal reasons, just for staking and securities, and we just didn't want to be also have that like awkward conversation with the hopeful or like holders that like, hey, this really cool thing that you guys really love and enjoy, like we're gonna have to pull it because of like legal reasons, right? So we decided to play it safe. It did kind of suck because that was like it was the utility that we were going to give to the hopeful right away. But we kind of took it on the chin, and was like, hey, let's play it safe. Ended up being the right decision because of what's coming out now with staking. Yep. For me, in terms of like regulations and stuff like that, I see a lot of people get hurt in the space. I know I want enough regulation that the bad actors get treated like they're bad actors, that we are able to track things and we can like actually punish them. But the other side of things is I don't want too much regulation that innovation is stifled and like is done, right? And that's only probably in the West. A lot of you'll have a lot of talent and everything like that could leave to other countries, or innovation's already happening a lot in Asia too. So it's not like it's but if we do have like a heavy regulation, it is going to be a bummer because innovation will be kind of stifled.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what I've seen hurt a lot. That's it. If it hasn't hurt them, it's going to hurt them. Is legalities, right? And
exactly.
it's hard to play. It's hard to play a game where you don't know the rules and the umpire changes them on the fly.
Oh
right?
yeah. Oh yeah.
So, I mean, it's the core concepts should always be the core concepts of you can't scam people, you can't steal people's money, right?
Yeah.
And I agree that there should be a way for that to be able to be prevented in some way, shape, or form. But if you take away the opportunity and the core reasons that these blockchains were built, then you take away the identity of what the blockchain is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a fine line that you have to walk to be able to have safety and anonymity, because that's what a lot of these blockchains were built for, right?
Yeah.
So that, or it's just going to be people have to be smart to be able to play this game. So
yes, for sure.
And that's what gives me so much, like, honestly, it gives me so much comfort because, A16Z is invested in you guys, invested in Champions, and they have a legal team that's giving you guys advice and stuff. So, like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, that makes it so. That's why I was so bullish when, Champions raised that money, too, from A16Z, because it seems like.
What a raise, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Top rope.
Yeah, definitely, man. Very excited for that. And the AI, content.
Oh yeah.
User generated content, man. It's gonna be really interesting. What are some of your thoughts on Champions, man? Do you know about the project at all? Have you followed it?
I have 2 elementals, so
nice.
I should know.
Very nice.
Yeah, so Squiddy kind of hit me up. I knew about Champions way back when from the Wolves DAO, and a lot of them minted. I just didn't have time to. At that time, it was not a super. Yeah, it was pretty tough to get into like whitelist. So some of my friends just had like a lot more time than me, and like they were super active in doing that. I remember one of my friends, like he ended up getting a whitelist, but like it took him a long time to get it, and he just told me like, yeah, man, if you don't have that time, like I wouldn't even try, which was a bummer. But like I knew about it and like also saw their gameplay and everything like that, and I was like, oh man, these guys are awesome. And then I just have been following. I know Johnny and then also Squiddy, good friends of mine's, and just had the conversation. I've obviously kept up with them just because the Wolves have caught up with them. So I just know by byproduct. I'm still trying to get into playing the game, though. It just doesn't work out with my family time. But I want to get in there. It's like Thursday nights, right? And then also, is it Saturday or is it Friday?
Yeah, it's Thursday.
All three.
9 to 11 Pacific time. 9 to 11 Pacific time, and then 3 to 5 Pacific time. Thursday, and then Friday. Now they just tested an 8-hour window, 9 to 5. And Saturday, same time as Thursday.
Yeah. And so I'm trying to get into one of the new slots because I think my kids go down around that time. So I'm trying to get in.
You're trying to play at 2 a.m?
No, I'm not trying to play in the morning.
That's the new time slot, man. But yeah.
Hey man, whatever it gets. If that's when my kids are asleep, I'll go play. As long as Squiddy comes and meets me, man. I've been telling him, like, hey, Lord Squiddy, freaking, I'll play for your title, bro. I'll be the first time I ever play.
First match for his title.
ZM knows, too, man. I talk crap, even though, like, I've never even touched the game. I was calling him out in Azra's server. There's a lot of you guys in Champions Ascension and also Azra, and I was just saying, like, I would whoop you guys. I have no clue how to play. I don't know how to play. So.
He doesn't know what he's up against, Dip. He doesn't know.
I don't. I have no clue.
Yeah. You're talking to a couple.
That's what I am, though, man. Like, I'm a competitor. I played sports, and obviously also being in the Navy,
Yep.
just like it's one of those things, man. It's competitor nature.
Yeah.
So, like, I'll go down swinging.
What type of ship were you on, by the way?
LPD.
LPD. Okay, I was on an aircraft carrier, USS.
Oh, nice.
USS George Washington. So.
Oh, dude, that's awesome. Yeah, no, that's carriers are freaking awesome, man. Like I was on LPD for actually 2 years. I fleeted up, and then I was there for 4 years, and then had a little bit of like a LHA, LHD experience. But it's nothing like an aircraft carrier, man. Marines, right? Yeah, them bunch of Marines that just go in and eat your food, man. That's all they do. They just work out, eat their food, and then just like go do fun stuff. That's like 2K. Let me just be real with you guys for a second. So after I went through the Straits of Malacca straight to Singapore, right? Yeah. I went downstairs at the mess hall and I saw Marines just joking. Like, this is like probably the most stressful time I've had in my life in naval career, right? There's just an 8-hour watch. I'm freaking sweating. Like, you know, my captain's looking over me. It's like, hey, what's that contact? And I'm just like, hey, 500 yards, sir, we're good to go. And like, you know, I go down to the mess hall after like my 8-hour watch, and I just see these guys just coking and joking, probably have no clue where we're at in terms of the geographic nature. And then also, like, they're over there playing Super Smash Brothers, dude. And just having a freaking ball. And I just like was looking at them, and I was like, man, I chose the wrong service. But yeah, no, I did it. I did it. Maybe for the win, but yeah, it was definitely. It was like, okay, I think I'm ready.
So we tried to ask you earlier. You mentioned you saw him playing Super Smash Brothers. Like,
yeah.
Have you been into video games your whole life then, or have you been a
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I
took a break in college a little bit after WildStar. So WildStar really, I looked myself in the mirror after WildStar, and I was like, maybe need to dial it back a little bit. But for me, I fell in love. First time I fell in love with video games was watching my sister play Ocarina of Time. And then my brother played on Dreamcast. He played WWE. And so exactly. And I just like freaking, I loved it. I loved the couch co-op, and then I loved watching the RPG stuff for my sister. And so then I was like, okay, I want to get in. And so the first console that I truly owned was Xbox. And like that was sharing a controller. They were like in high school. They weren't as addicted as I was. And so I played Halo 2. Some of Halo 1 and Halo 2. Like, was really good on couch co-op. But my brother was like, hey, you're just screen watching all the time. And I was like, I'm not screen watching. I'm just kicking your ass. Right. So the competitive nature came out at that time, too. My dad was a naval chief. So, like, you know, I probably had a potty mouth that I probably should have at that age. But then I went into playing online. So my mom and my dad got me Xbox Live, got my first lobby, found out about some more new words, you know what I'm saying? And was freaking playing it. I fell in love with it. I was semi-decent. And like I couldn't stop, man. And then from there, it just went from Halo 2 to then Gears of War. And then played that like crazy. I played some Uncharted 1 all the way through 3, Last of Us. And then I was just a shooter guy. I was a shooter fanatic. So Halo 2 to Gears of War to Halo 3 to Call of Duty Modern Warfare. And just downhill from there, man. I played every game under the sun after that. And then in college, I also played MMOs. So I played like World of Warcraft, RuneScape, you know, all the typical stuff. Yep. And then in college, I remember getting super addicted, and my grades fell big time from playing this one game called WildStar. For me, it was a waking up moment, and I was like, okay, I should be done. So I actually sold my Xbox, sold everything, just because I was doing terrible at school, and then just wanted a different like life change. And then fast forward to the Navy, I started picking up like Breath of the Wild and some of like the Switch stuff, because as you know, we don't have any Wi-Fi on the ship. Right. So it's mostly just like handheld and playing games. But that was it, man. I still love video games though. I've been actually playing Counter-Strike Go. First time I've ever played it. Crazy. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Very nice. Very nice.
Gonzaga says shout out to WildStar.
Nice. Yeah, man. WildStar is gunslinger, man. I don't think I slept for like a week, but I maxed. It was a lot of fun, man. It's dead now, though. It's dead now.
Yeah, but like I said, it died way too early. Way too early. So. You have another core WildStar supporter out there in the crowd.
There you go. Man. There's 2 of us out here in the world.
Very nice, very nice. So I know.
You guys know, I don't want to be the only one that talks about that in terms of video game history. Like, what made you guys fall in love with video games?
I was like my first game console was a Sega. That I
Nice.
got. My older brother, which is 8 years older than me, he had the Nintendo, and he was the kind of guy that would unplug the controller, and I would be playing and not know I was playing, right? So I had my
That was
first
my sister,
Sega.
man. She
Yeah,
did to
man.
me too.
One of my first games was Sonic the Hedgehog. Uh,
Sick.
Loved those games, and then I migrated later. Once the Sega was pretty much outdated, I got the Xbox, and that's when I hit Halo really
Nice.
hard, right?
Yeah.
Big Team Battle was my thing. Like I was the
Sick.
warthog. I was a warthog god, bro. Where like,
Let's go.
bro, one guy get on the machine gun, and I just drive the warthog, bro, and drift and go everywhere. So that was my game for a long time. Then I had God of War came out, which was for PS,
Nice.
PlayStation at the time. I migrated over to
Hmm.
that, and I fell in love with that. I fell in love with Skyrim. Um, I love UFC fighting games. I love boxing games. Right, played all those.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, isn't there a new one? Have you seen the new one come out? I think it's called Undisputed.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
there's a new boxing game out. Yeah, I haven't tried it yet, but I'm like, it's. I want it to get on sale for Steam.
Oh yeah, exactly, man. I mean, I try to look for the deals on Steam. Rust is actually another game I really want to play. That's on Steam as well. It's a open world survival
Right.
MMO, which is nice. So yeah, man, I just kind of migrated to a lot of different games. I don't like RTSs. I can't play them. I'm more of a guy
Mm,
that likes to either running gun or just go in and fight or do like a big team
right.
battle or something like that.
Yeah.
Man,
Same.
both you guys make me feel like I like started out way more nerdy than you guys.
Well, if it helps, I've also played like D&D and like Stardew Valley and some of these indies like Limbo and stuff like that. If that helps, I don't know if it does.
I mean, my first console that I played on was a Super Nintendo, right? Or not a Super
Nice.
Nintendo, but a regular Nintendo, NES. First console I owned ever was a Super Nintendo, though. But
Cool.
I've played so many, man. I remember I was like must have been like 3 or 4 when I first started playing games. Um,
Dang.
yeah, and I am a collector, so I have right now sitting in front of me. I was downstairs playing Champions on my had my nice new gaming laptop rig connected to my 4K TV, which right next to it has my Series One, my Super Nintendo, and my 64 all hooked up to it at the same time.
That is so cool, man.
Right?
That is
There's
sick.
there's a PlayStation 4 hooked up to the TV in my room, a PlayStation 3 hooked up to my daughter's TV in her room. My son has an old Xbox One. I've got another Xbox One in the living room upstairs, and the Switch connected. Like I've been into games my whole life, man. I like playing everything other than racing car games and rhythm games.
Hmm.
So,
And he's a
so
DJ in real life.
yeah.
Oh, dude. Yeah, if you open up saying I've been a collector my whole life, like automatically DJed,
A DJ,
100%.
bro. Yeah, 100%. That's funny.
That's why when people are like, "Oh, I made this much money," I'm like, "People make profit doing this stuff? What the fuck?"
Dude, I buy high, sell low, bro.
Oh,
I
I do too,
I
man.
just I just always buy when it's like at the top of the market, and then I just never sell.
Yeah, no. And the thing is, too, is that like, you're never going to sell, like, that's all good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some of it, like, I think a lot of them, some of them are, like, emotional values for me. Like, even, like, my first, like, gaming project was, like, Citus. And, like, I'm not selling any of those, like, ever. You know, it has an emotional value for me.
Well, yeah, that's your first project. I've got a wallet that probably has 100+ rug NFTs in it right
Nice.
now.
Nice.
Even my vault probably the one that I moved to my vault probably still has at least 10 rugs in it
Oh,
right now.
100%, man. You got to,
You know
man.
what I mean?
You
So,
can't be in this space and not have like a wallet just filled with rugs. You can't go to your hidden tab and not have 50 something airdrops in it.
Yeah.
You
oh
know,
man,
it's
Yeah.
just it comes with the territory, man. You know, our
yeah,
kids are gonna be like, you had to deal with all this.
Like,
Absolutely.
yeah,
like
dude.
that's how you have that generational wealth, bringing it full
Yeah,
circle.
that's what I'm talking about. Well, generational wealth also means you have to sell sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hey, hey,
Hopefully, a game economy does so well that you don't have to sell, right? So, I mean,
Right, exactly. You just take
yeah,
out loans off of your Champions Ascension.
oh man,
there we
wouldn't
go.
that be leveraging? Yeah. Wouldn't that be something in the future? You can leverage your NFTs, man.
For
Oh
some of
yeah.
these gaming ones, maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah, maybe,
Yep.
man.
What? Well, I mean, so for you in the space, Peyton, like you said,
Yeah.
you've got rugs and all that kind of stuff. Like,
Yeah,
what are
100%.
you? What kind of projects do you look for? Like, because personally, I've really been noticing that like almost all of my projects, unless I'm just doing some straight DGen plays, are
Yeah.
all gaming, Web3 gaming. Like
Yeah.
that's the majority of my holds.
Yeah, I
What
don't
like
actually have like any PFPs or like anything like that. I don't know, man. I just never really got into them. I try to from time to time, but it also just like takes so much of your time to like figure out the ones and like figure out ones
Mhm.
that win. You have to like follow whales. You have to follow like see if their community is good that like can stay. And so for me, it was just like okay, gaming is something that I thoroughly enjoy and I can research like so much on. And I already like have some background in it in terms of like what I did in the stock market. So I was like, okay, let me just focus on that. So all of my NFTs, besides like maybe like a few rug projects, are purely like gaming NFTs.
Okay.
And so yeah, it's just trying to figure out like good projects. I touched on it a little bit, like the team, and seeing if it can execute. Some of it comes like with like speculation, and I get caught up in the FOMO too, So
We're
Everybody
all
that's
human,
what
does.
it
bro.
is.
We're all
Yeah,
human,
exactly,
man.
man.
I
But
mean,
sometimes
so
too, like that is the strategy. Sometimes, you know what I mean. Like
oh,
you
of
have to
course.
let your ape kind of go wild. Sometimes you can't be like if like in the bull market, if you were like kind of like how you are in the bear market, you would never make money. You know what I mean?
Never.
Right.
Like that's the thing is just like you have to let that ape just freaking go. This is like me taking off the Azra hat. This is just me Payton like being in the space for a year and a half,
Yeah.
which is like friggin' you just have to let it just go. Like, hey, if you're paying $200 worth of gas, man, do it. Just let it rip. You know what I mean? And then like that was like for me, like Altered State Machine was like one of my biggest wins. But I tell people how much I paid on gas, and it was like freaking, it was $300. I was trying to get in front of the line. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I did,
Yep.
and like it ended up working out for me. But like, there's so many times that it doesn't. But at the same time, I
Oh
was
yeah.
lucky enough that it did.
Oh, bro, like we had another project on that we've interviewed called Just Cubes, and they're pretty much you hold an NFT and you get access to a private node, right?
Yeah,
I I used my Just Cube to mint my hopeful, and I'm pretty sure that is the only way I was able to because I was able to push my
that's awesome.
transaction to the mempool faster than everybody else, right?
Oh yeah, I
And
gotta check that out, man.
I haven't done anything else like that, right? Like
Yeah,
Azra's mint was insane how quick it went.
yeah.
But it's like things like that. Like if you're willing, I paid a couple $100s to have that, and I think that in and of itself, just getting the hopeful was worth it, right?
Well, for sure, and it helps so much in the bull market, right?
Oh
To
yeah,
be able to push things up in front of the line. And I think like for Azra too, it was a lot of people came from Solana and they just didn't understand. Like I felt really bad for some of the Solana guys that
Yeah.
were coming over trying to mint the first time on ETH. It's like a slaughter fest, man. Like because you just bump up your gas and you don't know that the priority fee or the tip fee like really matters to the miners
yeah.
or
hmm
stakers now. Like and you get screwed. You're in the back of the line waiting for that transaction to go through and it never comes.
Right.
Oh yeah, if you leave your tip at 1 and you have your gas at 200, yeah, you're not going to compete
Doesn't
with
matter.
somebody who has their
Yeah,
their
exactly.
tip at like 3 and they're putting out 100 gas, right? Like
Yeah.
the miner's going to go for that 3 tip rather like they're going
Oh
to get
yeah.
triple their profits first
Yeah.
compared to that. So I mean, it is what it is. It's all of it. That's again the situation where it's like you got to be smart. You have to be smart to play this game, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, so yeah. Well,
But also I think that's also the problem with like a lot of projects too. They just don't understand, especially like how I see it in terms of like Web 2 gaming projects coming into Web 3. And like this is maybe going back to my first point of like, after the team is good, like there's actually a Web 3 element too, right? Especially if like they're wanting to kind of claim that they are Web 3, NFT integration and all that stuff. Like
Right.
they have to understand it to a certain degree. And you can tell so much about like if they understand Web3 culture by the way they structure their mint or the way that they do things, the way that they run their community. And that's also another thing that like I've started to weigh a little bit more heavily on. Mostly just because I'm just like, there's so many, and you guys could probably list off so much. There's so many good projects out there that have like the right team, the right gameplay, the right genre, and then like just fail, And I'm just like, how are you guys failing? And it really comes down to like, they really don't understand Web3. They don't understand to like to communicate, to like be able to do these type of airdrops, or to do like anything that like Web3 natives want. They just don't get it.
Yep. Yeah. If you aren't in the Web3 space, it's very hard to grasp the concepts that are. I mean, once you've done it, it's like how would this seem like out of line for what we're asking compared to what the expectations are. But if you don't know, then you don't know. So I get it. Having that experience, I've definitely personally been in projects where you can see the lack of Web3 experience, even if they are a great Web2 team.
Right.
Yeah. How do you feel about those though? Like, are you hoping if you hold them that like, their Web2 over time is going to kind of shine through, and that they can, get people to come in, or
it really
are you nervous?
It depends on what they're producing. Like, of course you're nervous no matter what, right? Because when someone comes out and says that they're a Web3 company, and then proceeds to act entirely as a Web2 company, or doesn't take any Web3 concepts into mind, right? Like, it's hard to continue believing them. So it's like, at the same time though, again, if you are in there and they are a successful Web2 company, or the team has produced successful Web2 results, like you if you've put money into the project, you never want to see it go bad, right? So it's kind of like one of those situations where you have to weigh what your personal risk is willing to be to determine what point, if you want to sell or not, right? So, I think though a good team can always produce. It just depends on whether it's going to be accepted by the people that are supposed to consume it.
Well,
right?
And you see in Web 2, it's even hard, right? I mean, you don't have games like Fortnite, which have a huge player base coming out, competing all the time. It's just because it's so hard, right? The biggest thing for us Web 3 is we got to attract those Web 2 people. For instance, making onboarding super easy, right? Like I've tried, when, Champions first came out and you had to have a wallet and all that. I try to get people on, and they're like, what do I got to do? I got to download a wall, and then I got to copy a 12-word seed phrase, and what? Nah, that's too much for me. I just want to play the game, right? And now they have it to where you could just download it, which that's where we need to head as Web3. If you want to do a Web3 side of it, if you want to actually manage your assets or whatever like that, then you could do the Web3 side. If you want to stick to strict Web2, that's fine too. There's an avenue for that.
Yep, that's where you have the Web 2.5 interaction coming in, right? And it's fine. We actually we were having a discussion with it in the guild that I'm in for Champions Ascension, where it's like talking about how Champions Ascension is an amazing team, but this is their first foray into Web3, right? And so right now, how we've watched them progress from doing things like a Web 2 team to like a Web 2.3 to like Web 2.5. You know what I mean? And that's the thing, is like you can't say, oh, this is Web 3, now everyone has to be Web 3. It's like we're gonna see a progression slowly, and that's how people are gonna be more comfortable with it in the masses.
Right.
So
exactly. Yeah,
which is totally fine.
Yeah, exactly. That's totally fine. Like, even for Azra, like, we're going to have a Web 2 side of things that, like, people are probably never going to know that they're playing a Web 3 game unless they want to, right?
That's very
And so, like, that's the thing. It's just, like, if you guys want this onboarding, and, like, it will also come to, like, probably Sony's, blockchain. Like, they're not going to say that this is, like, blockchain powered or whatever. They're just going to say you're able to exchange assets, and they're never going to even say the word blockchain. Maybe in their investor report or whatever. But, you're going to be able to trade things, and it's going to be based on, because the tool, a blockchain tool, is better in terms of tracking projects. Not tracking projects, but tracking specific items and transactions that are happening.
Right.
It's just a better technology. Logistics people are using it, like banks are using it. There's all these kind of people that are using
Even
it.
Healthcare with medical records.
Exactly, and so there's that aspect of things that it just makes sense. But it might never be like this mainstream thing where it is Web3 or whatever. Hopefully we get to the point where it just becomes games, but I think it'll be a little bit longer.
Oh, definitely. It'll definitely be a little while before, NFTs and games are symbiotic to the masses, for sure. But once we get there, I personally believe NFTs and games are one of the best use cases out there. The perfect example for what they can be used for. So,
100%.
I mean, yeah, like I said, I've been playing games for over 3 decades, guys. If I had been told when I was 5 years old, at that 150 hours that I put into playing Super Mario Brothers 3, I could have turned around and sold some of that stuff to another person that didn't want to spend 150 hours playing it. I mean,
yeah.
Come on now. Forget about it. I made $1 million by 6.
Exactly.
Right? So, I think it's inevitable that this space eventually explodes.
Yeah.
That's why we're here now doing what we're doing.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you're here early. You learn from your mistakes. Like me personally, I've got into projects at Rugged. I've got my wallet hacked. Everything's stolen. Everything's happened to me bad in the Web3 space pretty much that anybody can go through, but you learn from those things. They call it sweat equity, right?
Exactly.
And that's what's going to help out, especially when the bull market comes. Because when the bull market comes, you guys are ready to know there's going to be shit projects that are going to be going to.
Oh, yeah. The thing is, too, they're going to sell out.
Yeah.
they're going to sell out. Those things went like hotcakes, man. I was just like, how is that project just mint for 0.1 ETH for a 10K collection?
Oh my god, $9. Yeah, and it's just wow, man. But it will in the bull market, and then these exceptional projects like Azra, one of them definitely are gonna be the gold mines. They're gonna be the ones that are gonna be surviving and building right now.
Oh yeah, I'm super pumped for it, man.
Yeah, same here,
Excited
man. I can't wait. I can't wait for Legions of Legends.
Same.
Oh man,
it's so funny, Zim. I didn't know you didn't know that we had a working playable demo.
No, I was not aware. I've got a bunch of IRL stuff going on, and I do a lot of lurking on a lot of servers. But
but the thing is, I don't know if we ever I guess say that. We don't say it enough. We kind of say it kind of in this setting, where podcasts or Twitter Spaces, internally, we've been playing it. We've been playing it. But yeah, it's just not ready for people to get hands on because we're working through bugs and QA. So
right.
Oh yeah, no, of course. Yeah. I mean that's kind of the same thing that we're doing right now over at Champions Ascension with the we can play we're saying Thursday, Friday, Saturday, right? These are all they let us into pre-alpha gameplay, so they're still developing the characters and releasing them as we're playing. So
yeah,
you
that's
can take that
thing about Web3 though, man, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying you can take that message back to the team and tell them to maybe let some hopeful in.
Yeah, exactly, right? No, trust me, being a DJ, I'm like, hey, bro, let's ship it right now.
Let's ship it right now.
Mark's
put it in the hands of the players.
Mark just tells me, hey, Payton, that's cute. Just trade some NFTs for a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel it, man. I feel it. But yeah, no, we're definitely looking forward to the gameplay. The sneak peeks that you guys have been dropping obviously should have alluded to the fact that you have playable game.
Yes.
Sometimes my mind just doesn't work that fast, I guess.
Dude, I'm the same way, man. I'm the same way. There's no judgment here.
Yeah, man.
But then other times, we're on here and we talk about speculations and stuff, and I feel like I can put together the dots pretty well at other times. So.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna have to do a little bit more digging into Azra than I have already. I dig every day, but that's just on the dig site.
I've done extensive research on you guys, just because I do work for a VC, right? And we have a lot of your assets. So,
Oh, I appreciate it, man.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very impressive team. Honestly, um, I really have, besides Champions, I haven't seen a team like this. I mean, everybody's pretty much from EA, bro. So it's just like,
Yeah.
like, where can you go wrong? You guys got the money, you got the experience. You guys are very Web3. I'm in your Discord. Your Twitter's active. Like, you guys are doing the right things, man.
Appreciate it.
I can't
Means a
wait.
lot to us.
Yeah, man, I can't wait,
Means
dude.
a lot to us.
Yeah, and I'm even more bullish. You guys got, and then when you guys got the 10 million, your floor pumped to point 0.5. It's like, oh my god, you know.
Yeah. No, it was awesome. It was awesome. So.
But guys, for me myself, I do have to get going because I have a quinceañera.
Yeah, I know for sure.
So
Oh, that's awesome, man.
I know, man. I'm gonna be the godfather, so I gotta get all ready
Oh
and
yeah,
get a
you
suit
gotta.
on.
What are you doing, man? You gotta get going.
I know, man. But any
Thanks
last
for having me,
words?
guys.
Oh yeah, hey Payton, man, you've been a joy to have you. I would love to have you again, man, because
Oh yeah, it'll be good fun. Good
yeah, a
fun.
very knowledgeable person in the space. Founder of Wolves DAO, guys. Make sure you give Azra a follow. Make sure you check out their project. They have a lot of good stuff going there. They have a good team. They have good backing. Check out Wolves DAO too, because they do a lot of good stuff. I've even seen a lot of DED from them too, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you need to learn how to research projects, like these guys are really good and they're specialists at doing that too, and they're in a lot of good projects.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, man, definitely. Z,
What up? What up, Dip?
any last
Man,
words?
I just wanted to say thanks for thank you to Payton for coming over. You know what I mean? We always appreciate it. We always love getting the communities together, and shout out to everyone who's listening from both Champions Ascension and Azra, and anyone else that wants to just follow along. But man, I'm so bullish on both of these communities, both of these projects. I'm hyped about. Just looking forward to what's next. Legions and Legends by the end of the year, man. That's what's up.
Yeah.
We got Slice coming up in about an hour and a half. I'm gonna play some more of that. Go get sweaty on the Ilgra and see what I can do, man. Chop it up.
Awesome, Z. Well, thank you guys. Appreciate you guys.
Yep. Thank you, man. And once again, guys, like we say, all again, prime minds think alike. We'll see you guys in 2
Love
weeks. LFG Azra.
Let's go.
LFG Champions. And with that said, we're out.
Out.